So Chip, one of the emotions that you spoke to was regret. And there were a couple of interesting pieces I'd like for you to talk about regret in general, but you also talked about how the concept of regret had sort of changed over time.
Well, regret's a modern emotion. Regret equals disappointment plus a sense of responsibility. So disappointment is when things didn't go the way you wanted them to go. Regret is when you feel like you have a huge sense of responsibility associated with things not going the way you wanted them to go. So in a society where you feel like you have very little control or very little choice, you'll have very little regret. So in the Soviet Union 30 or 40 years ago, there might not have been a lot of regret. But in a modern society where we have thousands of different choices at the store to buy for, or you go buy a car and imagine all the different choices of different options you have, there's a lot of room for regret. So what do we learn from that? Well, first of all, regret teaches. What's true of all these emotions is their emotions lead to a feeling, and usually the feeling feels like you're being knocked over the head with it, as if it's sort of punishment potentially, especially for the negative emotions. And instead, the way to recharacterize it is, this is teaching me something. And regret is the ultimate teacher, because in essence what you're saying is, I was disappointed by something, it has something to do with my responsibility in it, what could I have done differently? So the first, what you'll see with a lot of these emotional equations is they help you have some insight about something that will help you live your life differently in the future. In the case of regret, it's, what did I learn? One of the things that's very interesting in terms of regret research is that over the course of time, we have a tendency to be more regretful of the things that we didn't do than the things that we did do. So there's this thing called loss aversion. Loss aversion means we have a really great desire not to have a loss happen. In fact, we're willing to not do something in order not to have the loss. Classic case, high school dance. You don't want to ask her for the date or for the dance because you don't want to be turned down, and therefore you never ask. And so that's life. The challenge is in the context of this emotion of regret is that so often in life we regret a collection of things that we didn't do more than we regret the things we did do that didn't go the way we wanted them to go. So what does that mean? It just means that we need to ask ourselves more often in our lives, what are the things that we wish we'd done that we didn't do that we could actually do over again? And one of the things I usually say is if you have a choice to do something that's the one and only time you'll ever be able to do it, do it. It may be a disappointment ultimately, but if you don't do it, there's no do-over for that one. Regret's an interesting emotion, and one that I think is particularly predominant in respect to our relationships with other people, because you wish you actually you hadn't said that, you hadn't done that, etc. The good news is in our relationships with other people, generally you do have some do-over. You have some ability to actually fix it.